what's up, Plan Life Right family? It's your host, Kevin Ross, and today we're diving head first into the wild world of negotiation, but not the boring corporate snooze fest you've snoozed through before. No, today we're talking about how you can flip the script, bend reality, and walk away feeling like a negotiation ninja, all without selling your soul or your favorite coffee mug. So imagine this, if you're a high stakes deal, your palms are sweaty, your heart's racing, and across the table sits not just any opponent, but your own dad, who somehow managed to get himself billed as agent extraordinaire, even though his last contract email looked like it was written by a toddler on a sugar crash. Yep, we've all been there, right? Well, buckle up because today we've got Mad Skills Floyd in the house, straight from the pages of The Art of Negotiating, to teach us the black belt moves that turn you from negotiating moron into negotiating maestro. We're talking anchoring, BATNA, silence so loud it echoes, and framing deals like Michelangelo framing a masterpiece. And later, we're going to break down the Nico, I'm gonna leave you, Imavliava saga. You heard that right. Where a top 10 quarterback and his dad thought they could muscle Tennessee out of millions, and they only ended up with a one-way ticket to transfer town. We'll dissect where they went off the rails, how you can avoid these same pitfalls, and why you shouldn't let your agent be the guy who shows up in his pajamas at Christmas. That's a true story. So grab your pen, your notebook, maybe a stress ball in my case, because we're about to teach you the ninja level Kanye style confidence moves that make negotiators weep with envy. Ready to go from rookie to rock star? Let's do this. Playing Life Right episode. Don't be a negotiating moron. So let's roll. All right. So welcome back to Playing Life Right family. I'm Kevin Ross, your trusty guide through this life's craziest deals. Today, we're unlocking the vault on the masterclass negotiation moves straight from the pages of The Art of Negotiating with the little turbo boost from Grant Cardone's 10X mindset. And boy, do we have the perfect expert to walk us through it. Please put your hands together virtually for one, the only, the human Swiss Army knife of deal making, Mad Skills Floyd.
Kevin, thanks for that intro. Although I'm starting to worry about the Swiss Army knife part. I come with a toothpick, but do I come with instructions?
That's a good point. Only if that includes how to disarm stubborn adversaries. I mean, Matt, you've studied every trick, the anchors, the BATNAs, the mirroring. What's the single best move our listeners can start using today?
That's easy. It's the first step you should always do. That's anchor. You set the first number. You set the range for everything that follows. Think of it like dropping a heavy weight in a pool. It creates the ripples. If you don't anchor, they will, and it's almost always too low. So you want to keep that power on your side.
Kind of like when Big Nick, AKA, I've named him, I'm a negotiating moron, try to anchor Nick's deal at 4 million, even though Nico was making 2.4 million, and statistically ranked 12th out of the 16 quarterbacks in the SEC. So that's a rookie move, right?
Exactly. Big Nick dropped an anchor so inflated it tanked the entire negotiation. So he dropped a weight in the pool so big, splashed all the water out. Nobody wanted to swim with him anymore. No coach worth his playbook would ever counter that. It's almost insulting. It was so high. Instead, you want an anchor that's ambitious yet plausible. Something on this side of reality.
Right.
Grant Cardone, you mentioned him. He said it best. You want to 10x your goals, not your demands.
Right.
So you want to aim high, but stay credible.
That's right. Picture this. Nico's on a 2.4 million playing solid, but not elite. He's 12th in a 16-team league, and Big Nick fires off an email demanding 4 million, just after midseason. No warning, no prep, just give me a double. what's he already getting, or we're out. Boom, bed completely shattered.
And that, folks, that's a reverse anchor. It doesn't pull them toward your offer, it pushes them away. You've lost, first of all your credibility. Coming in with a number so high, it doesn't make any sense. And that kills all your momentum. So no credibility, no momentum. Where's your deal going from there? Probably not in your favor. A well-placed anchor would have opened at something like maybe like 3 million. And then you can negotiate up. But yeah, 4 million, double your salary in the middle of your work week. That's not going to make your boss very happy. Probably not going to get it.
Yeah, 3 million. Why not ask for the moon and offer to settle for a star? That's how badly you misfire here.
Yeah, I mean, Grant Cardone, he's one of my mentors. I know he's mentored you as well. He preaches massive action, but you also need massive preparation. Before you ever speak, you want to research comps, you want to build rapport, you want to anticipate objections. Cardone says, success loves speed, but speed without preparation is just panic. It's like running around like a chicken with your head cut off, basically.
Right.
And Big Nick went into full panic mode. It's like he got those dollar signs in his eyes and he lost his mind.
Yeah, he went so fast he forgot to read the room. I mean, it's like showing up to a yoga class in football pads. It's pure chaos. Or in Nico's case, showing up to a press conference in his pajamas.
Yep.
I said the first time I saw him as a kid, when he first came on, he needs to dress the part, to look like he knows how to be a leader. Instead, he shows up in his PJs. That's his persona. I think he just he definitely lost some of the fan base there. The younger people probably not so much. But, maybe one time, I don't think I ever showed up in PJs to anything. Well, maybe one time at a sorority mixer which was a pajama party. So
I show up to the kitchen or the breakfast table in my pajamas. That's pretty much the only two places you can find me in them.
Exactly.
But I mean, what was this like last year? You want to tell us more? You're a volunteer fan over
there. Showing up at the mixer?
Yeah.
Oh no, that was a long time ago.
Okay.
When I was in college.
Okay.
I don't even know how these kids do it these days at these mixers. I mean, they basically walk around with a phone in their faces. How do you socialize? How do they make contact? I've never seen them. They talk to you. I don't know if they Snapchat, even though they're 3 feet away, or what they do with these things.
Yeah, exactly. So listeners, you want to anchor smart, want to prep massively, and 10x your confidence, not your demands. That's your first power move.
Boom. That's anchoring in action. Up next, we're going to dissect Big Nick, how Big Nick treated his BATNA like a used car salesman, and why that burned every bridge in sight. So stay tuned. Welcome back, Plan Life Right Tribe. If you thought we were done with Big Nick, I'm a negotiating moron annex. Think again, because now we're diving into BATNA, which is your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. This is the secret sauce that turns you from pleading to commanding in a deal.
Yeah, BATNA, it's not just an acronym, it's your insurance policy. Without it, you're dangling without a rope, and you want to be batting 1,000. Think about it that way. So, you want to define your BATNA. So you want to start by mapping every alternative. For a college quarterback like Nico, candidates would have included, entering the January transfer portal right after Tennessee lost and teams were resetting rosters, pursuing brand partnerships and NIL deals independently. That's, you want to have an alternative in case they say no, because you don't want to hear no and they're like, all right, well, goodbye.
Right.
That's your deal imploded after your sentence because you didn't have anywhere to go after they countered. And there's very few deals that ever are settled with, here's my offer. Okay, we'll take it.
Yeah.
If that happened, you just got took because they were willing to pay more.
Yeah. So this is how Big Nick botched his BATNA.
Yeah, give us the play-by-play.
Yeah. So here's the play-by-play. So after Tennessee lost in the playoffs, the only moment when Nico could have hit the January portal, I think they had like 3 or 4 days after their loss for those
closed out
for the playoff teams. They had a chance to move. So Nick decided to sit tight, no portal entry, Then comes spring, but then in the spring portal, they've got a rule, the SEC does, that restricts SEC players
Right.
from leaving one SEC team and going to another. So now you've just moved 16 or 15, because you're on one of them, 15 of the 16 teams you can't transfer to, nor have contact with. So now you've got to go to one of the other 3 leagues in the Power Four, or you're stepping down if you're not that good. So Nico's dad decided that basically he had a strategy, right? And so his strategy looked like, well, he's going to demand mid-spring. This was during spring practice. Big Nick storms in, probably with an email in midstream, and says, he tells Nick, hey, well, he demands $4 million to keep Nick in Knoxville. And then instead of letting Nick complete spring, he tells Nick, don't come to practice on Friday. That's a huge no-no. So what he did is he put I in team. When he did it, he didn't have any like credible place to go.
Yeah, no,
he was calling around. As a matter of fact, Oregon's coach Dan Lanning called Tennessee and said, hey man, just a heads up, Nico, Big Nick, I'm a negotiating moron, called me and said, hey, how much will you give me for my son? I need $4 million. And he's like, we've got our quarterback, we don't want it.
Yeah.
And he was calling around to other schools. And so most of these coaches are like, they've been around the block. They're like, this guy's a negotiating moron. Yeah. He's a cancer. I don't want that on my team.
Yeah.
So
he's like $4 million. The coaches are probably like spread over 2 years, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
$4
million was so out there.
so here he's up there thinking he can get something because, he's a dad. So he thinks, oh, my son's the greatest. That's a dad issue. And he's not coming from a perspective of looking at the whole playing field. And so he basically, he didn't have a transfer. So he was just, out there in thin air.
Yeah, it's just a balloon blown in the wind.
There was no real interest.
Yeah.
And so, in advising his son to skip practice, it right before, it was the last practice before the orange and white game. So this was the prep practice. That grenade just blew up. It just blew the whole trust that somehow or another Coach Heupel had for Nick and maybe Big Nick. I can't believe you believe anything Big Nick, but anyway, that just blew up the trust.
Yeah.
He put I in team's a team sport. You can't have that. That's a cancer.
Yeah.
Right.
And I can understand the skip in the spring practice, but you could spin that as a player or as a parent and say, well, we don't want to go to that practice because what if he gets hurt right before the season? And
well,
what if he's out for all next
that.
year?
You can't skip it. You can't. That's a whole. If you do that with no injury, that you've lost the team.
Okay.
So that's you can't operate.
There's no good reason.
When you do that, you're basically you're giving them the finger.
Yeah. But he hadn't laid any of the groundwork of like, oh, my knee's kind of hurting. I might skip practice, coach.
No, he was fine. He was actually
the coaches already knew
he was at the quarterback with the offensive coordinator's dinner the night before, and everything seemed to be fine. So then I'm sure Nico got back and Big Nick called him and said, don't go to practice in the morning.
Yeah.
And then he went silent. The coaches were trying to call to see where he was.
No show, yeah.
So that's a trust issue that he broke. That's a major botch.
And a powerful BATNA, I mean, your alternative, it's got to be tangible. You've got to be able to pull it out. You can have a bazooka in your pocket, but you're going to have to pull it out and fire it. And that needs to be your mentality when you're thinking of your BATNA. Big Nick's bluff, no portal exit, no brand deals lined up. That's a paper tiger.
Yeah.
And Tennessee saw it do it instantly. They're like, this guy doesn't even know what he's doing. And now like you said, it's a cancer. Now we got this cancer in our locker room, and it's going to spread to others, and we might lose the whole season here. So we'll just kind of cut through it. But you like I said, it needs to be tangible. It needs to be bulletproof.
Yeah.
So here's how you actually build a bulletproof BATNA. You want to list every option, even the crazy ones. Get them on paper, and then start raising the feasibility. Give it a letter scale. Give it a 1 through 10 scale of how possible is this? How possible is it for me to transfer? How possible is it for me to call Nike myself and arrange my own deal? Put a number on it so that you can kind of rate it, and then lock down your top choice before you negotiate. Have that transfer interest or brand deal in writing. You don't have to show it. You might not even need to, because they might take you up on your offer. You got to be able to pull it out and say, well, look at what I got.
Yeah.
And you need to have that. That's why it needs to be tangible. And when we say tangible, write it down, get it in writing. And then you want to keep those cards close. Like I said, you don't have to pull it out. It should be your last,
Right.
Like a self-defense weapon.
Right.
You don't walk around with it like this. You have it under your shirt. You hope you never have to use it. But if the situation calls for it, pull it out and go to town. So keep your cards close. That leverage only works if they're in the dark. If they already know what you're coming to the table with, you've already lost. And that means they've prepped better than you have.
Yeah, like imagine like you had a secret dessert stash, and you don't ever want to flash your brownies until you're all by yourself.
Oh yeah, then you can lay them out on the bed and then just go to town.
Then you go get them, make them disappear from the plate. Otherwise, you show those things out too soon and they're gone.
Yeah. We'll go back to Grant Cardone, his 10x in that leverage. Options equals power. So 10x your BATNA. Don't rely on one portal window, count, or court multiple programs, secure influencer partnerships, schedule coaching clinics. Big Nick played with 1 weak card. You want to have the whole deck at your disposal. No options technically off the table. It's just least probable because it was your last option, and it's a nuclear one basically.
Yeah. So next time Big Nick brings up an old college coach, you better be prepared to encounter the skepticism.
Oh, they'll probably think they're getting pranked.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that $4 million offer sounded like a prank.
Yeah.
I'm sure they laughed at him, not knowing he was,
I know
he was dead serious.
I mean, it was number 10 or 12 out of 16. I mean, that's not even a deal. Like,
yeah, which still probably makes him a top 30 quarterback, but still.
Yeah, I mean, he's got no leverage there. It should be. I mean, if he needed more money and he believed in his son, which obviously he didn't, or well, he is a negotiating moron, maybe. He could have made it incentivized. He could have come back and said, "Hey, let's do this. If he hits this, if he finishes in the top 25% of the SEC, then he gets a bonus."
Exactly. Yeah.
If he really believed in his son,
yeah,
he was just trying to milk the money. That guy's a moron.
Yeah, and he's not coming in. Sorry to throw a couple LSU Tigers at you, but he's not coming in like Joe Burrow. He's not coming in like Jaden Daniels.
Right.
He's coming in 12 out of 16.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
That was a lack of leverage. That was where they knew what the leverage was. We know how good you are.
Right.
We know how good you're not.
Yeah.
There's only 4 quarterbacks worse than you in our league. So
we've seen how many times you overthrew wide open receivers throughout the year.
Yeah, some games, if you stand in a boat, he couldn't hit the water.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true.
So let's do a little role play here. Let's say you're freelancing. Client, our cap is 5,000. You pause. Understood. I do have 2 confirmed offers at 7,500, but I have value working with you most. How can we close that gap? You signed a real BATNA without torching the bridge. Or you signal a real BATNA without torching the bridge. Sorry, no.
Yeah.
So you don't sign anything yet.
Well, yeah, and if they push back, the key is silence.
Exactly. Yeah. Whoever talks first loses. That's right from the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. Let that silence echo like Big Nick's credibility, which vanished into thin air.
So let's do a little recap here. So you want to identify all your alternatives, all of them, even the crazy ones. Get them on paper and then rank them from the most possible to the least possible. That way you know what you're going into. You know where all the exits are, basically.
Right.
You want to strengthen your top one. So research the heck out of that. Maybe don't pull the trigger on it, but get it loaded. Keep it hidden for leverage. Big Nick, call in all the other schools ahead of time that blew the secret wide open. So he lost before they ever started, know. And then 10 extra options. Never count on a single threat.
Yeah, there you have it. BATNA, the move Big Nick forgot to master. So next up, we're gonna unwrap framing and reframing. Because if you can't package your task like a luxury item, nobody's ripping off the wrapper. So stay tuned to the next segment. All right, Plan Life Right family. If anchoring is your opening strike and BATNA is your secret backup, then framing and reframing is the knockout packaging that makes them want what you're selling.
Right.
So Matt, why is framing so powerful?
Well, that's the art of storytelling and negotiations. You're not just tossing numbers back and forth across the table. You're crafting a narrative. A well-framed proposal feels like a gift, not a demand. Like, hey, yeah, man, I'm looking to be a part of this deal. Heck yeah, like this is going to work out good for both of us. That's the frame of mind that you want your negotiating opponent to have when you're sitting in on the deal. So the frame formula, follow this formula every time. You want to pinpoint their pain. That's first and foremost. What is their biggest sticking point? That's the center of your target right there. Your solution, position your ask as the cure. So the win-win, we highlight mutual gains. It's good for you, it's good for me, basically. That's your formula. Pain point, your solution is the cure for all of life's ills, and it's a win-win. It works for you, it works for me. We both made a good deal.
Yeah. So instead of like pay me or I'm out, you say, hey, so coach, our passing game dropped 20% when throwing the deep ball.
That's your problem. That's your problem. That's your pain point. Right?
Exactly. That's the pain point. So what do we work on in mid routes so I can increase my completion percentage? That would make investing maybe 3 million look wiser and secures Nico's leadership and revs up the morale of the team. That's your solution, right?
Right. Exactly. That's your solution right there.
So what do you get? You get steady quarterback play. He gets fair pay. It's a win-win.
Exactly.
So you see the difference, and hopefully a quarterback that rates in the top 20% of SEC quarterbacks, not the bottom of the SEC quarterbacks like the prior year. I know he was a freshman, redshirt freshman, but
it's a steep learning curve in the SEC. I'd say it's probably almost vertical.
Exactly.
Maybe even a touchdown.
So if he'd have finished as a freshman in the top 40%, maybe there was a little more leverage, but he was in the bottom 20%. So there was really no leverage for any of that.
Exactly.
So what Big Nick do? He emailed in mid-spring and dropped, hey, we want 4 million or Nico's gone. Zero contact, zero benefits, just an ultimatum. That's like offering someone a luxury car and saying, hey, drive it or I'm going to crush it. Who's going
to buy that? I would never.
Yeah, right.
I'm not going back to that dealership. I know that.
Ridiculous.
But I mean, ultimatums trigger resistance. If you have kids, if you have a spouse or a partner or a friend, do this or else. Watch what kind of reaction you get.
It's never worked in my house.
Imagine doing that to your boss. Imagine doing that to the company that you work for. They're going to react the exact same way. It is immediate resistance. It kind of puts you in a fight or flight mode. Right. And with Tennessee, they got in a fight or flight mode. They didn't fight him on the $4 million. They were just like, see you later. Good luck.
Exactly.
Now we're going to be out there spreading what your reputation is like. Good luck finding a program that'll take you. You're not going to take one that was in the playoffs last year.
That's right.
At least, but good framing lowers those defenses and it invites that collaboration to where you can deliver an ultimatum and they don't even see it as that.
Right.
They see it as like, oh, well, yeah, we should pay you $4 million. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But you're basically delivering them, I want $4 million or I'm leaving, but you don't frame it like that. You frame it entirely different.
And evidently he wasn't hitting the deep ball because Tennessee wasn't chasing him down, even though he missed
the rumor has it some of those passes are still in the air.
Yeah, I think they are. Picking them up from the third level of the stadium.
Yeah. So you want to use there's tactics to reframing. It's not just here, let me change your mind real quick. That's not one. That's what you're going to do, basically. So your benefit frame, you want to spotlight the wins. Like you said, hey, man, I'm a lot more accurate on middle routes and short routes. Why don't we focus? Why don't we see if we can adjust the game plan on that? So you spotlight those wins. First downs equals touchdowns, coach. You say that every practice, you know?
Right.
Why don't we work on getting more first downs and we'll translate that to more touchdowns? That's what a $3 million quarterback is worth.
That's right.
You know? So you want to spotlight the wins. Your loss aversion frame, emphasize what they lose. Well, here's what you lose. You lose a lot more incomplete passes. How about that?
Yeah.
You lose, you know, I might be underpaid. That sentiment goes right out of my mind. I'm completing more passes. I'm performing at the level I feel I should be performing.
That's right.
We all get to stay friends here. We're gonna go back and we're gonna beat whoever. We're gonna beat another SEC team in the playoffs because you have to, and then we're gonna go after whoever else made it, Ohio State or Notre Dame or somebody. You know?
That's right.
So emphasize what they lose, that loss aversion, and a number of sales gurus will tell you it's that the avoidance of pain is a massive trigger. So you want to, well, we can avoid future pain if we do it this way.
Right.
They're like, God, my God, you're right. Why didn't we do this sooner? Kind of. You want to get them to that thinking, and then your question frame. You want to turn statements into questions.
Right.
Not, well, I think we'd be better if we focused on more mid routes and short routes. Like, do you think we'd be more successful if we concentrated on mid routes and short routes? I mean, coach, aren't you always saying first downs equals touchdowns? Don't you say, don't we always say that every week? What if we tried it that way?
Especially when he knows he can't complete a long ball.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's your card. You keep close to your chest.
That's right.
You know, yeah, I can't throw past 40 yards.
Yeah, he's not going to tell his coach I can't, but the coach has already seen it, and so have all the teams.
You got a better chance punting it to the receiver than just throwing it to him. But keep that card in your chest. I have no deep accuracy. I'm way better mid and short. So I'm just going to be a mid and short guy. I'm going to be a Brad Johnson. Yeah. Never completed a pass over 40 yards in his life, probably, except one.
Right.
He was a short yard guy. He's a slant guy and an in and out guy. So turn their statements into questions to where it gets them thinking about how they're going to benefit from your proposals. Right. That's what you want them thinking, is they leave the table where, man, we took him for everything. Yeah, what a sucker. That's what you want them thinking. You're going to be thinking the same thing. Right. But you're using the right tactics. You know you got the best deal.
That's right.
You know you took them.
That's right.
But you want them thinking that they got the better of you, basically.
So why don't you give us a real life example? Because not everybody's got a 5-star son quarterback and dumb enough to think that they can negotiate even though they've never been in that kind of
I don't know if Nico's got a 5-star little brother or anything, but I know
he does. He's got a 4-star brother, and we're going to talk a little bit about that because this just happened in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, so I can tell you, of all the Division I schools, I know the one school he will not be attending.
He won't be at Tennessee.
Yeah, he won't be at Tennessee.
He was at another SEC school. We'll get into it. So why don't you talk about just a real world. Give us a real world example.
How about project management software?
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So your benefit, automated reports save 40 hours a month. Time for strategic growth. 40 hours a month. What's it cost you to pay somebody 40 hours a month to do that? Now you can have it automated. See, question frame. You see that?
Yeah.
What would it cost you to pay somebody to work for 40 hours a month? That's a whole work week that you're going to hire somebody and pay them to do this job. You can have it automated with project management software. Without this, there you go. You burn 520 person hours, on manual tasks. Question: would reclaiming that time help you crush next quarter's targets? Even let's keep it an immediate benefit. Next quarter, next 3 months. Would that help you accomplish that? So that's your framing and reframing right there. You keeping it. Hey, I'm trying to help you play with the ball in your side of the court. Like, I don't even want the ball. It's ball's in your side. What would make you have more fun with it, basically? So it's 40 hours a month, 520 hours a year. What could you do with that time? It's almost a rhetorical question at that point. And then their mind starts like, geez, 520 hours. It sounds like a lot. What could we do at that time? Maybe increase vacation.
Yeah. So boom, what you're saying, there's no price tag, just profit potential.
Yeah. Didn't even mention a price. Could be $1,000 a minute to use the service, but they're already thinking we probably should go ahead and get this.
Right. This is how we're going to have more profit, save money.
Right.
I don't think Big Nick ever asked that. He could have said, would securing Nico boost ticket sales, fan engagement? The answer was yes. There's number 8 jerseys all over the place. There would have been more, especially if he was better. He missed the whole play.
He did, yeah.
He missed the whole play.
And didn't even offer any free benefits to go along with it. Like, hey, if we were able to secure Nick at a price that he's comfortable with, Nick wants to get out there a little bit more. Like, he wants to welcome incoming freshmen that are on tours. Like, would that help you secure some higher level academic prospects if the guy that's on ESPN every other day is welcoming them to the thing? And then
I would probably say, as long as he doesn't wear his pajamas.
Exactly. But it's like a coupon, like a free appetizer that you're giving out. It doesn't cost you anything, but that's an incentive for the school.
Right.
Like, I lose nothing, you gain something. Look at that. I handed you a free prize, and we're just sitting here negotiating. So it just kind of keeps it framing where we're getting all the benefit out of this, and we only got to give up a little bit maybe to get all of this. And you want to keep that. It's like a scale.
So what would Grant Cardone say to you?
People buy benefits, not features. Nico's arm, feature. Win on the field, benefit. Frame the benefits, not the salary.
Right.
Keep the salary as a. We don't even have to talk about. Let's not even get into the price yet.
So what do you think Big Nick, the negotiating moron, Nico's dad, said? He picked salary.
Yeah.
He picked salary. Tennessee wanted leadership, consistency, which we didn't see last year, and a quarterback that could provide victories.
Right.
We had victories. We went into the college playoffs, but he wasn't the reason. It was the defense that played incredible.
Right.
And we had a running back that led the SEC.
Right.
That's how we won it, not by his arm. Maybe one game, the Alabama game,
right.
He did some things. It took him 3.5 quarters to do it, but he did it. That was really the only one that stands out. Of course, he beat the Charlottes and some of the Patsy teams. Sorry, whatever not Power 5, but the lower teams. He did really well against you guys, but the big Power 4 is not so well,
right.
Especially in the SEC. He struggled there. So that's a big misalignment.
Right. So let's kind of do like a recap here, basically. Frame around the problem, the solution, and the win-win. Here's what's wrong. Here's the fix. Why don't we both get something out of this? It's basically kind of what that should be your goal. Use benefit, loss aversion, and questioning frames. Sell the benefits, not the features.
So there you got it. Framing, reframing, that turn cold demands into hot opportunities. Right. Next up, we're going to talk about, really going to drop the mother load. It's my favorite thing. It's silence and listening. I talk about that all the time in sales. It's the power moves that let your opponent talk themselves into the corner. Don't touch that dial. It's what I tell you when you're on a sales. Don't be doing the talking. Frame it. Yep. Be quiet. Let them talk. They'll put themselves in the corner.
Exactly.
All right. So welcome back, Plan Life Right listeners. We've anchored our offers. We armed our BATNAs. We've wrapped them in the perfect frame. And now it's time for the ultimate ninja move. Silence. It's our golden piece. It's the ultimate ninja move.
That's a power move.
Yeah. So silence is listening. So Matt, why is zip lip gold?
Well, silence is the vacuum that pulls information towards you. When you stop talking, you force the other side to fill that void, often revealing their concerns, their priorities, maybe even their hidden concessions. Like the Wolf of Wall Street says, first person talk loses. That's just how it is.
It is.
So silence is golden. So after you make an offer or you pose a question, pause and mentally count to 5. And if you're going to be dealing with other cultures, like say like an Asian opponent, silence is revered in that culture. It's not 5 seconds. They'll sit there and let you be silent for a minute or two before they open up. But if you're going with Western opponents, you want to go at least count to 5 seconds. Within 5 seconds, they're going to have said something because it's an uncomfortable silence. here's my offer, and then count to 5. That silence feels like an eternity to them. And guess what? They'll start talking to break it. You get intel, they feel heard.
So, like when Big Nick lobbed the $4 million grenade, and then I'm sure babbled explanations for 3 minutes straight, revealing every fear and slight that he had. I mean, it's classic self-sabotage. And this is the epitome of self-sabotaging oneself in negotiation.
Yeah, and probably after the first 30 seconds, Tennessee put the phone on mute and just sat there and was like, when he's done talking, we'll tell him we're not interested.
He told his son to skip. We've lost trust.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
Out. Yeah. They really put his feet to the fire.
So your active listening techniques, you want to combine silence with that. It's not you go silent and then you start thinking about your groceries that are spoiled in the fridge. When you're silent, your radar is on for intel because they're going to give something up. So you want to combine the silence with active listening. Active listening, echoing, that's one. Repeat their last phrase as a question. You're concerned about your spring portal restrictions. What restrictions? You know, tell me more about that. Nico's going to start spilling the beans, you know, that's an active listening, and take notes, or if you can mentally note it, do that, and then bring that up later in the conversation, and it reminds them that you're paying attention to everything. Labeling, that's another one. So you name their emotion. It sounds like you're frustrated by the timing, you know, like put it out there. Put them in a bucket. You know, people don't like to be placed in the wrong bucket. Put them in one, even if it's the wrong one. They'll correct you real fast. People, you know, we call it correctile dysfunction. People hate having that. So you mislabel them, they're gonna be quick to point out that they want to clear that up. Minimal encouragers, or go on, or that's interesting, or tell me more. You know, things like that. Just a minimal encouragement to keep them talking. Nod along, smile, raise your eyebrows. Practice this stuff in the mirror to see what you look like doing it, so you have an image of what how you're coming across on the table. You know, you don't want to look like a clown with a big old smile on your face because you're winning.
Yeah. I'm going to bet Big Nick never did that. He was too busy wearing his "I'm a negotiating moron" hat, and he didn't really listen, you know. So instead of understanding Tennessee Spring Rockster lock-in, he just yelled louder. And then to the point where he calls his son and says, "Don't show up to practice." Just as loud a move as you can make.
Yeah, volume is his only tool, basically. You know, it's like, what's that old saying? If your only tool is a hammer, you seem to see every problem as a nail.
That's right.
You want to be a Swiss Army knife, like I said. You want to have all the tools in the belt. That way, when they counter, you're already ready for that. You counter, you're already ready for that because you prepped. You already know what they're going to come back and say.
You prep.
Go look at the NIL. Who could transfer into Tennessee and take this job if I leave? What are their options to tell me to go pound sand? That's prep on the front end.
Right. You know, and after that spring practice no-show drama, you know, Tennessee coaches tried to, I'm sure, explain the SEC transfer rules. I'm sure they talked with Big Nick, maybe. I know they went silent. But, you know, I don't know if Big Nick fired rebuttals or he put his head in the sand or what, but he never paused to listen. He was already set. His mindset was set on that Thursday night when he called Nico and he said, "Don't show up to practice," which forced that hand.
Right. When you interrupt, you lose rapport.
Right.
Listening builds trust, you know, and that silence wields the power. You know, if you're interrupting, whoever you're sitting across the table, like, is this guy even listening to me?
Right.
What are we even talking about? I don't even know if I want to work with this guy.
Right.
Because he's not even paying attention to what I'm trying to say. He's just waiting to get the next thing he's got to say out onto the table. He doesn't care about my needs at all, you know?
That's
so we'll do like a role play, silence and action. You know, this partnership will save you 40 hours monthly and boost revenue by 15%. What concerns do you have? Well, the client says, "Well, I'm worried about the initial rollout support." Put a little awkward silence in there. Well, tell me more about that. Gets them talking again.
Right.
You see?
So I think right here you just really uncovered their true objections. And, you know, Now you can address it directly when you do that. I think Big Nick could have avoided the chaos if he just shut up and heard out the compliance team, heard, what the coaches were saying, what their concerns were. But instead, he was wearing the Nick, I'm a negotiating moron as an agent and his big dad persona, and not listening because it was clouded.
Right.
It was clouded because he was too close to it. And when you're negotiating, you can't be too close to the deal. You've
Right.
got to be able to look at it objectively, which
Right.
dads can't do.
And
really hard.
When they say we're worried about the initial rollout support, and you kind of throw out that silence, you nod along with them like, oh, that is a common problem. Tell me more about that. They're probably going to drop. Well, last time we switched software, they came in on a Monday, installed it, and we couldn't do work for 2 weeks. And that is a gap that you can fill because you say, well, our rollout team doesn't operate that way. We sit with you for 2 weeks. We don't just drop it and leave. We are here 24/7 for all your questions, and we lay it out ahead of time. We know what we're getting you into.
Right.
My offer is your only solution, is what you want to drive them to, basically. So, listen first, sell second. Grant Cardone, before you pitch, you must listen. And he's right. Selling without listening is like driving blindfolded.
Yeah, Big Nick, he was flooring the accelerator with his eyes closed, which is, crash inevitable.
Right, exactly, yeah. He's kind of like Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
Not first or last.
Exactly.
That's it. I want to go fast, and that's
Except he didn't know how to drive the car.
Exactly. So, after your offer, pause. Always pause. That needs to be a period and a big old blank space. Don't have anything to say after that. If you got a catchy little one-liner, you better deliver it before your ass comes out. Use echoing, labeling, and encouragers, nodding along, smiling. Listening wins trust and reveals the leverage. They're going to show you all your cards if you do this right. You will show none, and they will show you everything they're playing with on that side.
So there it is. Silence and listening, your stealth superpowers. We're about 5 minutes away from our grand finale, the rapid fire negotiation checklist, and final wisdom from Matt. So stay locked in. Don't go anywhere. All right, Plan Life Right champions. If you've stuck with us this far, you're about to graduate from negotiation boot camp with honors. And let Matt, and so we're going to have Matt hit us with a rapid fire checklist.
Okay, yeah, grab a pen. So
are you ready?
Here we go. 10 moves in 60 seconds. Anchor first. Set your range.
Anchor first. Got it.
Pause after your ask. Silence is your ally.
Pause. Zip it.
Identify BATNA. Know your best alternative.
BATNA. Lock it.
10x your options. Multiple BATNAs, not one weak bluff.
Options. Deck. Stacked.
Yep. Frame for benefits. Problem. Solution. Win-win.
Frame. Wrap it up.
Reframe with questions. Wouldn't this, or how about this?
Questions. Ask away.
Echo and label. It sounds like.
Echo. Mirror. Mirror.
Listen actively. Encourage them to talk.
Listen, ears open.
You want to leverage loss aversion. Highlight what they lose.
Loss. Fear sells.
Yep. Close with collaboration. How can we make this work?
Collaborate. Team wins.
That's it.
Love it.
That's your checklist.
I love it.
Learn it, start using it, and you're going to see a lot more deals falling your way instead of falling by the wayside.
Yeah. So if you thought the I'm a negotiation moron bit ended with Nico, think again, because Big Nick reneged on his son Madden's Arkansas deal too. I told you we were going to get to it. So here's what had just happened. Now Arkansas has to decide. So Big Nick, here's the backstory. Big Nick's son, Madden, who was a 4-star, had committed to UCLA, and on signing day, he reneges from UCLA and goes to Arkansas. So now he's going to play in the SEC at Arkansas.
It's beautiful
as a
Arkansas
freshman.
instead of California.
Probably going to redshirt like his brother did, but he was going to learn under Bobby Petrino, one of the best offensive coordinators out there, been around forever. And 4 months in, just finished spring practice. And Petrino said, this kid's talented. And what does Big Nick, the negotiating moron, does? And there was an NIL deal. They renege on the NIL deal. So I'm sure money's already changed hands. And this was just after 4 months. He early enrollee. So he got there in December, January. Stay here. It's April now. Now he's telling Arkansas, sayonara. I'm gonna leave you because I'm Big Nick, the negotiating moron. So now Arkansas has to decide: do they enforce this contract? Do they settle quietly? Do they have a lawsuit?
Like a breach of contract.
I mean, yeah, because there's a breach, like you said, it's a breach of contract. So somebody's going after it. I'm going to bet that Arkansas has got more money than Big Nick and Big Nick's family. They may think they've hit the lottery, but they don't have the money to fight this in a lawsuit. So it's really how much does Arkansas want? Maybe they're in a little bit of predicament because people are going to say, well, I don't know if I want to go to Arkansas. That's a fear. I think that's a fear they should wipe away. They should go after them. If they owe money, they need to get that money.
Yeah, well, because it sets a precedent. How many other parents are going to try the same move? And Arkansas needs all the help they can get.
Yeah. So my money's on they're going to tighten the reins and they're going to give no more second chances. And I think we'll start seeing that in more of these contracts if they are free walkways. I got to believe the universities and the NIL groups are smart enough to protect themselves from just giving money, and then the people are like, see you, like robbing a bank.
Yeah.
Right?
And every one of these colleges has alumni that are lawyers. They would do this pro bono for their alma mater.
Yeah.
That's a very Latin sentence for a lawyer to say out loud.
and Arkansas, like just about every school, they got some big money. They got Tyson Farms there.
Yep.
And they, as a graduate, they got the owner of the Cowboys. He's an Arkansas graduate. They got money.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if they want to go after him, they certainly got the money to do that.
So basically, negotiation is an art, and it is the art of preparation, listening, and value creation. You do it right once, you set yourself up for a lifetime of wins.
So, folks, negotiation isn't just numbers. It's psychology. It's storytelling. And yes, a little bit of ninja silence. So tune these moves and you're going to walk into any kind of deal room with the confidence of a quarterback leading a 2-minute drill.
Right. And if it's somebody you have to negotiate with repeatedly over years, they know you're a shrewd negotiator. They might just start taking you up on your first offer after a certain amount of time. Like every time we go into this room, this guy gets what he wants. Like, let's just take him up on his first offer and get it over with, and that's easier deals and they'll come a lot faster,
Yeah, and for Big Nick and his I'm a negotiating moron hat, perhaps stick to giving Nico life advice as good fathers do, not contract ultimatums. Hand over your son's professionals to a professional agent that knows what they're doing, that's been in the game, because nobody wants a halftime exit. The coaches, the fans, nobody wants to see that.
Yeah. And remember, prep relentlessly, listen fiercely, and always wrap your ask in a mutual value. You got this.
So if you're ready to stop fumbling deals, start closing like a pro, drop Nico in the comments right now to get your free negotiation cheat sheet. That's kind of hard to say. Free negotiation cheat sheet. Packed with templates, scripts, and power moves to lock in higher pay, negotiate more fulfilling roles, and dominate every deal in the room.
And if you like today's episode, leave us a 5-star review, thumb it up, better yet, subscribe, share it with your friends, your network, your parents, your boss. Well, maybe don't share it with your boss. That's showing him your cards. Be sure to snag that free negotiation cheat sheet at planliferightpodcast.com. And let's elevate every deal you make.
So remember, life happens fast. Make sure you happen faster. We'll see you next time on Plan Life Right.